We can call you a different band name. You know.
Which,
Folk Royals.
honestly, call us whatever you want.
The Folk Royals. The Bloke Royals.
Folk Royals.
Faux Royals.
Oh, man.
The Spoke Royals.
Such fits.
Yeah, I'm the genius one for a run before this. So.
So you guys are going to be acoustic, vocals.
Uh-huh.
Acoustic and then electric keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
Electric keyboard.
Yeah.
Electric keyboard.
Which is a Nord
All right.
Stage 2.
I briefly forgot that.
And I'll email you guys the rest.
Also,
wanna
if you
do
need us to bring
our-
DIs or anything, we can, whatever. Yeah.
Do you want to do our little drum looper or just acoustic for that one?
How many songs is it?
I mean,
20
it's
minutes.
about 23, 24 minutes.
Yeah, if it's.
How's it going, Tessa?
We do have a little drum machine.
Good, how are you?
For a song or two, just stop making sense style. Very
Yeah,
light.
just bring it in.
I understand,
Make sure it can
yeah.
go into a 1/4-inch jack.
You can.
That's the main
Yeah,
thing.
it's just a Roland or C300. Or
It's
a
not
Boss.
it's not happening unless there's an eye in the sky.
All right, but I will let our sound person know.
Awesome.
Cool.
He is our sound person. It should be.
Terrific.
Nice.
Super duper. Look at this. Wheeling and dealing right on the show. Hey, everybody, this is StageCraft. We're going to start, Tessa, and I'm going to introduce you just because we're recording.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Does Tessa have a microphone?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, everybody, it's StageCraft. My name is Alex.
My name's Don.
And we're joined by Tessa, and Deb's here, but she's not going to say anything, but she's waving.
Hi, Alex.
And we're joined this week by the Broke Royals. Say hello.
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 What are your names and what do you do in the band?
I am Rebecca, or Rebecca, whatever you'd like to call me.
Okay.
I am vocalist, keyboardist, and synthist of Broke Royals.
My name's Philip, and I am the singer and guitarist for Broke Royals, or one of the guitarists, at least.
So you guys do harmonies and things like that?
We do. We try.
We do our best at them.
No, I mean, everybody tries. You ought to hear some of the early Byrds harmonies. Some of them were rough.
Really?
Very, very rough.
Interesting.
I mean, harmonies have to be worked out.
Yeah.
You have to just sort of work on them over
We've-
and over.
Yeah, we find even oftentimes, like, I'll think I have a great harmony, and then technically it does make sense, but then we'll listen back to recording, and then I'm like, what am I doing there? So we oftentimes rethink it after we do a little listen back.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's a lot of it is the finding the harmony in the moment when you've lost it. That's when things really start to go off the rails. You know, you
keeps
got to
it
just
interesting.
commit to something and then do it. You know, whether it's working or not, it's better to just kind of stick it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Probably the worst things I've heard, well, not the worst things, but some things that are just sketchy, are people who don't commit to certain singing, the harmonies, backup vocals in one way or another that come out kind of, blast it.
Yeah.
Blast it.
Agreed.
Got to do it confidently.
You have to do
Even
it
wrong.
confidently. Absolutely. Confidence shows.
Yeah.
The people see that.
People see it.
Fail spectacularly if you're going to fail.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but people
Sort of been our
don't
motto.
really think that you fail. I mean, you only fail if you really go off the rails.
Right. And even that, if you make a moment and it's memorable, right? Why not?
Right.
We were once
Harmonies, though,
Yeah.
we joke, in terms of things that are very unforgiving when we're talking about stage performance, rhythm and harmony, those are two things that audiences can pick up on that when when something's not quite right? So what do? Do you push through that when you're on stage? Like you were saying that sometimes you just got to stick it?
I mean, ideally, we're a big powwow after the set type band. Like, let's debrief, let's figure out what's going wrong. I'm a big believer in recording every set now. It used to be very hard for me to watch myself sing or watch us play. But now, exposure therapy, I've just every single set, not because I'm really into it, but because I want to find the bumps and then say all right, let's pinpoint what's going wrong.
Yeah.
Or what could be improved, and let's get it better, like watching tape for a sports game, because that
Totally, because we get sports.
We get sports. Yeah, we know all about them.
Yeah. We could name some.
Totally. Peyton Manning, he's probably still playing.
How about them skins?
How about them Skins?
Commanders.
We like all the balls.
All the balls.
Oh,
in the goals.
And all the
Throw them
courts,
up in the air. We throw them across the field. Kick them sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, it's
our-
helpful, recording the sets too. We can be hard on ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
So we'll be feeling badly about a set, and then we'll listen back to it, and we're like, oh, yeah, that's, any of those blunders that maybe we had felt are almost entirely not noticeable
Our
for us.
Our drummer is a big audio tech. He runs a recording studio and a YouTube channel where he teaches mixing and recording all these things. So he's had us set up with an in-ear system for a few years. And basically what you're hearing is nothing like what's going out to the house. So I'm getting like the drums and rhythm guitar in my vocals, which is not going to set you up for like what. That's not really a pleasant experience. So exactly. So the video is like, oh, okay, wow, it actually sounded nice. It kind of came
sounds
together
like a
in the
band.
house. But I'm kind of singing in the void in my ears a
Would
little
you
bit.
rather have a stage monitor?
I've gotten to the point where if the thing craps out on me, that is when things can go badly. So now I actually do have the monitor going anyways, and sometimes I'll have one ear out. I don't know how in the weeds we want to get, but sometimes they'll run the snakes to the guitars into the wrong jacks, and so I'm getting something over here that's supposed to be going, and it's all cattywampus and stuff. So the monitor, you can't go wrong with it with a front of house monitor.
Wait,
Yeah, but of course that could be different than the house with the audio.
Also different, yeah, for sure, yeah.
did you say cattywampus?
I think so.
Is that a word? Like I never heard
It's,
that.
well, of course, everybody knows
It's a
it.
fun one.
I use strictly 1950s diction.
Cattywampus?
No.
Well,
Deb,
maybe I'm just
I
familiar.
feel like I've
'cause-
heard it, but maybe it's just it feels so right.
can we just stop for a moment? What does it mean? Cattywampus.
It's like when
all
things
over
are going
the
off the
place.
rails. Yeah, like things are
Chaos.
have
Yeah.
Beautiful
gone
words.
chaotically.
Something from Mad Men or
Isn't
something.
it delightful? I feel like I've definitely heard your grandmother say cattywampus.
Yeah,
Well, I think
we share the
our
same
great-grandmother,
verbiage.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess it sounds a little old-fashioned.
Oh, yeah.
Cattywampus.
Oh yeah,
More
gonna go down
PC.
to we're gonna go down to the haberdashery.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some shenanigans going on.
Broke Royals, old fashioned premium rock and roll.
Yeah.
How would you so like do you remember record stores? Do you remember okay.
Big
So
time.
you would go to the record store. I'm super excited to pick up the new Broke Royals release.
Yeah.
What section am I going to pick up the Broke Royals release?
Well, shameless plug. You can go down to Birdland Records. They released our album on vinyl last year, and you can pick it out of the DC favorites, which I think is so funny. It's like Bad Brains, Fugazi, and us. Like, all right,
We'll
fake
take
till
it.
you make
We'll
it.
take
Yeah.
yeah.
But probably just rock, pop rock, alternative rock, depending on how granular it gets. Indie rock, maybe.
Ooh, let's get granular.
Yeah.
Let's get granular. Why not?
We call it premium rock and roll. You know, I think it's like we sort of started closer to like the 1975 as a studio project, and we've ended up somewhere closer to Tom Petty. And you know, I don't know how that happened, but it was a slow, gradual shift. So we might be found in
Philip,
different
who wrote
parts of
the
the store,
songs.
depending on who.
I have no idea
Yeah.
how that happened.
Depending on what record you're looking for. But
So it's mainly original music, totally original music.
yeah, so yeah, we Rebecca and I will sometimes play at bars and wineries, other venues like that. We'll do a mix of covers and originals, but anytime the five of us are together as a band, it's all originals. So yeah, we have 3 albums out. It's like some singles. I think it's somewhere in the range of like 35 to 40 songs. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I've forgotten some of our songs, so that's how long we've been together.
No, and that happens. That
Yeah.
happens. I mean, you just have so many that you forget some, or, like, how does this one go? Man.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost every practice, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
What's your favorite song or the one that's most requested?
Well, that would be very different, I think, probably. Right?
Yeah.
What is it, depending on the audience, you mean, or when you say different?
I think our first record had a real clear voice. I don't think it was a voice that we wanted to live in for the rest of our career, but we were like really lucky to find some really passionate fans. And there's a song called Higher that is probably still the most requested song from our catalog.
What is that song about?
It is about learning how to write a song. No, I'm just kidding. It is
That's valid, though.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
bit. I mean, it's super metaphor heavy, just about I guess wanting to lend support but not smother someone. But it's like super old now, so it's like like 8 years old. So it's also like looking back on something that is kind of a different guy wrote it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I was
different
thinking
life.
about how to lend support without smothering someone, and I was like, well, how do I lend support without like actually lending support? Is that something that I can do? I'm totally kidding. So when you say that it feels like, because I have a friend who's in a band, and he doesn't like to ever like all the songs that they write are pap. You know, like, so they'll like write lyrics that are they're nonsensical. They're just trying to hit rhythm markers and melody markers. Because he's like, who the hell ever wants to like hear a song and be like, man, that's that breakup song that I wrote. You know,
Right.
like, you're not going to want to listen to that in 15 years, unless you
Yeah.
made a lot of money, maybe.
Sure.
Right. You know, but it's like, it's kind of hard. Like, who the hell, like, I bet Eric Clapton probably doesn't like jam into Tears in Heaven. You know, it's probably
not.
pretty fucking heavy, right?
Probably not.
So how do you feel about that? Like, when you say that you feel like a different person even wrote that song. What do you mean? Are you crazy?
But like, I think, well, certainly. I mean, anyone who
There's a lot to unpack there.
Exactly.
made music for this long.
Whoa.
has to
That's
be-
two
yeah.
questions.
Anybody who wants to be on a stage.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. I totally get what you're saying, and I do feel that way. In my harsher moments, I can be like, wow, that guy was like a little hard on his sleeve, wasn't being like as clever as he was being earnest, which is maybe not where my priorities are as a songwriter these days. But then, like, if you're Stephen Malkmus and everything is just like wordplay, I don't know. Like, I don't know that Silence Kid is gonna like resonate with. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like he has like, Another one that I think of is like Vampire Weekend. They're one of my favorite bands, but like, I just wonder, like, how much of himself has he left behind in these lyrics? Because that's kind of what you have the opportunity to do as you go on. Is it like?
And something you do that I really like about Philip's lyrics is that some are autobiographical, but then Philip is also really good at kind of letting his imagination run. And so maybe it starts out as like a story that mirrors his life, our life, someone's life that we know, but then he kind of makes these twists and turns. So even in writing the song, it becomes this new thing. And then that story kind of lives as the song, which I think is really cool. And I think we all love songs where they're just vague enough that we see ourselves in them, or we have some personal life story or experience that we can relate to them. And I think that happened a lot, especially in our last album. And those songs have been really, really fun to play as a live band and acoustically too.
But you have to have something that people who are listening can connect to.
Yeah.
I think Rebecca hit on something nicely. It's like,
Thank
if
you.
you find something that is like personal, but then you kind of just obscure it one layer, that's probably the best place to be, in my opinion, for me now. Like, it's not so like,
I'm in the
also because we
basement
pay,
with my cat.
yeah, like we do play rock music too,
You
and
even
it's,
listen to my SoundCloud?
yeah, exactly. I think there's a way to do it, like, if you're like a Bill Callahan or something, like, and you are like super personal and like specific, or like what's his name? But I think when you're in a big rock band, you're trying to convey big emotion. You're trying to convey like bigness, or like some sort of unity, or I don't know. It can be helpful to just take things like one layer back from the personal and be just a little bit more like, not quite totally universal, but like something that is a shared experience.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're if we unromanticize it, we're talking about the idea of like being specific versus being vague, right?
Right.
And if you say like, "Hey, man, my heart was broken by a 6'2" blonde person, who listens to Waylon Jennings. Well, you've limited yourself
my
in terms
mom.
of you're limited yourself in terms of who that's speaking to. Although that's going to click really well with those.
Yeah, that is going to click. Yeah. So,
but there is something to be said for that. But at the same time, like, that's why it's such a magical thing to do songwriting well, is because if you make it too vague or too abstract, well, then that's pap, right? And it's bullshit, and people kind of sniff it out, and then it's and then you get into this whole other weird territory which is like sometimes that stuff is fun,
right?
And then sometimes that stuff is shitty, and so it comes down to the execution of it, right? Where do you think your talents lie as a performer? We're talking about StageCraft, and I know we talked a little bit about the songwriting. As a performer, where do you think your skills lie? Where do you think you're best at?
Well, I was raised in a what's the word I'm looking for? Evangelical church, playing bass in the youth group, and I have just like a general I want to share, I want to be up there and have the whatever kind of the Righteous Gemstones vibe. I'm not part of that church anymore, but it's still.
I am getting a Kelvin vibe from
getting a Kelvin vibe. Yeah, that's all right. That's better than Jesse, so I'll take it. Yeah,
a little youth minister vibe.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was probably made to be a youth minister, and it didn't go that way. But I've taken my talents elsewhere. That's kind of the vibe. Yeah, is
I'd say for myself. I did stand-up comedy for a couple years.
Fuck yeah.
Not well, but I did do them. But it is an art form I will always really respect, because you are up there alone. It is you and a microphone, and that is it. And you also need the room to be quiet, to listen to you and then respond to you. There's so many more layers of comfort to playing music on stage. People can listen, they can not listen, they can be having their own life experience, and also you're there playing music. But I feel like stand-up really taught me of you pour everything you have into these 5 to 10 minute sets, and then again you have to watch the tape. It's an immediate response, what went well, what didn't, and then unless you want it to ruin the rest of your night, you just got to move on. And so I think kind of that persistence, and every single time we perform, there's always something that we talk about, okay, we can tweak that little thing for next time.
I'm not saying you ever have bombed.
But
what's worse if it bombed? What's been worse? Is the worst bombing of musical experience worse than the worst bombing? What's worse to bomb at?
Yeah, it's I feel it in my body.
Right.
We were right back in there.
Well, also, Rebecca joined the band. Rebecca was in a different band, and then they kind of folded, and she joined our band. We had some horrible shows. You never really played any of the shows.
But in a band, you have
rooms.
other people to support you.
Yeah, so in that respect, I'd definitely say bombing with stand-up is a much more excruciating
Just walk off the
experience.
stage.
It's fun to be bombing with the band to some extent.
Yeah, it is. It's a shared experience.
Yeah, it's
if everyone's in on it,
yes,
it's kind of fun.
We once went to play a festival in Hershey, Pennsylvania, maybe, or Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we played at midnight, and the band that was playing at 11 was local, and they had a full room, and we got on, and our guitarist just locked in on the wrong note for the solos. This is actually one guitarist prior, so not Ben, but and the room just cleared out like you've never seen it. We had a full 50 minutes to go. It's just well, it's midnight. We're in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Let's have fun.
Good time for a practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick on Deb for 1 minute. The other day we were at the cinema and Draft House, and we ran into this comedian, and this person introduced himself. He was like, "Oh, yo, I'm a comedian," and Deb was like, "Tell me a joke."
Oh, no.
It was awesome because the dude was just
Deb.
fuck this. It's and I think he did do some gag or something, right? But he made us laugh, which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Can you do any of your? Can you do just a little, just a tiny bit?
Oh, it was so long ago. I feel like the little quips.
What was an opener? What was an opener that you would come out and do?
I honestly don't
This was
remember.
really,
And I went to watch her.
One.
Okay.
I was working retail, and I would get off at 10, and I would just go to the bars and wait for her set at midnight.
Because you're waiting all night.
It was 2 years of our life. Yeah.
5 minutes of comedy.
I'm either going on at 10:30 or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Don't know which one.
Yeah, we would just sit in the basement of the big hunt, that old one in DuPont.
course,
yeah, till 1, 2 in the morning, waiting for Rebecca's
You probably
5-minute set. Yeah,
you probably played in front of some famous people without even knowing it.
yeah.
Famous people go through that. You go through that room. Yeah,
Yeah.
She opened for Judah Freelander.
that is beautiful.
It is
World champion.
Yeah, world champion. Yeah.
In a logistical error, that is true.
Hey, but that's life,
And
right?
the time he was dropping into the club, and I happened to go right before him.
Yeah.
So in that way, yes.
Did you warm up the room?
Oh, totally. They were fresh and ready.
Yeah. Did you go afterward? Afterwards, you go up to him and be like, "Yo,
Good luck. Yeah.
fucking welcome, dude.
When is our tour?
Earn that stage up,
Yeah.
motherfucker. Good luck."
Did you ever? I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever do a set and you kind of bombed,
Uh-huh.
but you walked away feeling like it was them, not me? I fucking rocked it.
You do get a real sense of the audience, and a lot of comedians will talk about this of like doing open mics is so brutal because you're just performing to anyone and everyone, and often when you're starting out it's super late night. You know, you're getting the dregs of the
Very
bars.
drunk. Very,
Yeah.
very drunk.
Sometimes it's
So
like
drunk.
a bachelor party or something.
Yeah.
It's like
Great to practice heckling.
a stop
though.
on their tour,
Yeah.
whatever.
But then when you like make it in comedy, the people are coming because they know you and they love you
And they're ready to laugh.
and they're ready to laugh. Yeah. And other times it's like people who got lost and somehow are now sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is almost worse than, an empty room. But you could definitely like feel the energy of the room. And when it was good, it was so good.
How did you learn to play keyboard?
Ooh, I grew up playing classical piano.
Very nice.
And then have kind of fumbled my way into rock and roll. It's a very different kind of skill set of like translating, going from reading sheet music to then, listening to a song that Philip has written and thinking like, okay, what do I add or not add here? And it's been kind of like a fun discovery process too, because there's definitely a thing of like adding too much. Sometimes even when we are all working on a song, we'll do it together, we'll do it remotely. And sometimes, people are sending in all of these different parts, and when put together, sometimes they don't work, or like I'll come up with a part before Benji, our lead guitarist, does, and it's like, well, that really should be highlighted in the song, so let's take the synth line out. But it's kind of a fun, like every song is its own little puzzle that you have like the draft for. So thanks to Philip, we're never working with a blank canvas, but
Nice.
you're kind of getting to see what works.
Yeah,
But
collaboration is always kind of messy because
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, this is sort of the way I like it, but could you change these? And
definitely.
really weird.
Yeah. And then we had a friend, Boundary Stone in DC has a really great open mic, and we've met a lot of friends through the music scene that way. So even his stage name is Trashboat, Andrew. I even hired him to just help me with some lessons too, of just be like, okay, here's what I'm doing for the songs. What do you think about it? And how might you, I don't want to oversell him, but I'm pretty sure he has a PhD.
Oh, wow.
That sounds
Really
right.
educated
Yeah.
keyboardist, and just like a really great mind. And it was just fun to get like another perspective too. So even like having some of those lessons, and then, other band members will have ideas for parts too. So it's been a fun process.
Yeah, and what's your favorite sounds and style to play?
Ooh, that really... It's kind of fun that we have like the acoustic duo sets, and we've got, full band rock and roll, because I'd say that really like scratches both itches for me. I love when it's like the full team is out there, but it's more in that way. I do see myself as more of like supporting or plugging in or being like a base layer to add on top of. But, when there's also the acoustic sets. It's a lot more dialed into like the harmonies that we're doing and just, our little guitar, drum machine, keyboard all working together. So it's even fun to like have the same song and we have the rock and roll version of it and then the acoustic version of it too.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Do the other people in the band, do they sing?
Yeah.
I do. Our bassist is a reluctant vocalist, but he's a great singer. His name's Taimir, and
How do you get him to sing? Candy bars or what?
we're just little by little, like the story of the goat who falls in the well, and then the dirt piles up, and he slowly at the top of the well.
Say,
and-
I know
now
this
we got
story.
Another new bit. We got another. So tell us the story of the goat who's in the well. And
There's like a goat who falls in the well, and he's like, "Help! I'm stuck in the well." And then people keep throwing things in the well, and he goes, "Well, I'll just step on top of this." And then
how does it? Why is the dirt getting in the well though?
I don't know. I'm unclear on the details.
What was the first word we learned? I forgot it already.
Cattywampus.
That is cattywampus, sir.
That's a cattywampus story.
Cattywampus.
If I knew all the details, you guys would be so wowed.
I understand it. Alex is just a little bit.
Thank you,
God, why are they throwing dirt into the?
That's a good question.
Doesn't
yeah.
matter.
So how does the
It's-
goat get
Maybe it's not a well. Maybe it's just a hole.
Okay.
Now that makes more sense.
It's just a
Yeah,
pit.
yeah,
It's just a
yeah,
pit. Yeah.
Maybe there's someone shoveling dirt in it.
Someone shoveling in. Yeah.
Because if you're shoveling dirt to get the goat out of a hole,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, a well doesn't make sense because if you were throwing dirt down a well,
It'd be water.
It would be water.
It would be
never
water.
fill
Yeah.
up.
It's a good point.
And so how does
It's a good
Hey,
point.
I'm the caretaker for the listener. I try to make sense of these things for the listener.
And
I
for
provide
me.
a service.
He's providing
if you
context.
could come back to our home
Yeah,
and
exactly.
do
Can
this
you
on
come with me
daily
all
basis,
over the
we could
place?
fill it.
Yeah.
StageCraft, by the way,
Yeah.
and this is WERA 96.7. We're playing our next live show September 20th at the Three Whistles.
Do you think too much analysis of the songs, the music, the performance gets in the way?
I think while you're making it, it can. Well, I don't know. I might walk that back too. Yeah. Well, no, I stand by that because sometimes people are so ego, like they're just like stuck in their not ego, but it's like you're stuck in your own perspective so much that you're like, no, if we do like a half, if we only do 4 bars there and then you go to the guitar solo, it's gonna feel cheated. But then like you just do it and then you listen back like a week later and you're like, oh, that's great, it's fine, it doesn't matter. But like in the moment, it can seem you can get too analytical, I think, about it. But I think it is something that we go back and forth on. I think you can you reach a saturation point with, all right, let's stop analyzing it. But I think the general attitude is like, we're just like the Rolling Stones. We're just gonna go up there and like wing it, and whatever. Like, there's like an impression of like rock stars just go up there, musicians just go up there and wing it, and it's all about just having fun in a bar. But it's like, no, you have to be like really ready and then go up and wing it.
Yeah.
But like, you got to be really ready before you go up. Like, you hear people talk about like Hendrix was like so out on acid. It's like, no, he wasn't. Not for all that stuff. Like, that dude was ripping on a guitar. Like, you cannot do that if you are completely 3 sheets to the wind. Like,
Yeah.
he had some, like, it's exaggerated the amount that people are just winging it or
Rock and roll
fucked up.
fables.
Exactly.
Right?
And
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like that we just knew, man. We just knew we had a hit on our hands. And
Right.
it's like, no, you were 4 dudes in a room sweating,
Right.
probably going like, God damn, I'm hungry.
Right. Yes,
And then
exactly. When can we break for lunch?
You out a
Yeah,
hit.
yeah.
And you thank God you did, because
Yeah.
otherwise
Yeah.
we're going to get fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they aren't probably saying, okay, let's have the instrumental 6 bars instead of 8 bars.
No, well, yeah, I totally agree, and I would also like to compliment you for ruminating on the answer about whether or not you should overanalyze.
Yeah,
the song.
exactly, yeah.
That was really good.
My life
We
in a
couldn't have
nutshell,
planned it any
yeah.
better. We couldn't have planned it any better.
I also
No, please, you go ahead.
I also think on the point of like over analyzing, I think in a band it's just great to, if everybody, well, I feel like this happens in our group, it's like we all care a lot but about different things, and so all of that together creates like a nice cohesion. And
get that.
obviously there are points where we're like, we have two people who strongly care about something, but I think it's just like if everybody cares a lot about a different thing, then we're all getting better in the things that we all care about.
But it's got to be the right direction, though. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, sometimes you get off track where, oh, this sounds like a country type song. No, it's not. It's
Yeah. There's a lot of that too.
I mean, it's so fun to have fun on stage and be bad, but it's bad. Like, I've done it. I've gotten up and just been like, hey, guys, let's just jam and, like, whatever. It's so fun, but it's not fun for the audience. Like, it can be. There can be moments, but it's not like, hey, we're going to deliver you a nice product. We're putting our name behind this. It's good. It's like, no, that was kind of a shit show.
We got to get there together.
We're
You gotta-
Rick
we gotta be in
Broyles.
on it a little.
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like when Dave Grohl does the walk across the bars,
Right.
Like that's that's a rock and roll moment, right? But no offense, but when Philip does it, you're gonna be like, get the fuck out of here! What the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah, the guy from Phoenix, I've seen him like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and he always goes in the crowd, and it's like, oh, he's such a crazy man. It's like, oh, is he such a crazy man? There was a security guard waiting there for this moment. Like, it's a rehearsed moment that he's like walking into the crowd, and like, it's not
he's
like,
literally on an intercom. He's going.
he's going. Thomas is going.
Crowd work. I got my eyes on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to bring it back to comedy for a moment, I do kind of see it in a same way as a joke of like you have this rehearsed bit that you do, but then comedians will call like little flourishes to the joke, or like they'll say the punchline and then they'll say like a couple funny things after the punchline. They call those tags. Like we do like some little like improvisations in songs, which are kind of like our musical tags. And sometimes we'll try one, but you still have to have like the basis of the joke has to be there.
Well put.
To-
We're very type A jamming.
Getting it.
Yeah,
Just
it is
if there was
very
a
type
joke
A.
that could illustrate it more specifically,
Wouldn't that be
I would really get
great?
it.
Oh yeah.
Tell me a joke.
Oh,
It
if
was so
only.
funny. Like it was like 10 seconds. The guy's like, I'm a comedian. She goes, tell us a joke.
He really wanted to. He was itching to. I could tell.
I think he did tell us a joke.
No, I think he said no, and I laughed really hard.
Oh.
That checks out.
And then I said, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, you know how I knew he was a comedian, and you'll get this right away. You know how I knew he was a comedian? He looked miserable.
I was gonna say I could say a lot of things.
He
Yeah,
looked
how do you know?
miserable as
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
The funny part was when he walked in, we both kind of looked at him expectantly for some random reason because nobody else was there, and he said, "You're not here for me," so, which I thought was an
At
interesting.
that point, I was like,
opener.
"What are you like delivering like severed heads? Like what the fuck does that mean?" Like,
That's good. A comedian would say that.
Yeah.
I totally
Sounds like-
get the tags type thing. It's almost like, you're twisting the key in the ignition in your car and it doesn't start. Well, you hit it again and you hit it again, just in case the people in the room didn't quite get that joke. You want to pull them back to you. You don't want to leave them hanging there, scratching their head and say, is he for, what's he going to do? Is he going to go on to the next subject or whatever?
Yeah, definitely. It's It's fun. I think. How'd you put it? Type A.
It's actually called type 1 jamming, but it's like we know where the jam's going to be.
There's already a term for it.
Yeah, but it's like it's not
just called
fish.
stand-up
It's not
comedy.
like we're gonna go out there and find it. But like, yeah, we have a lot of just our guitarist is just really really good, and so we're just like, yeah, why don't you just fill the time with some soloing?
Why don't the big band, why doesn't it do covers?
Oh, we'll do like 1 to 2 covers. Actually, we have a nice.
Like?
Well, we always used to do a Springsteen cover for years, but it's been great because now that other members of the band have started singing more, and it's a great chance for me to rest my voice, especially when we do if we'll do like a local festival or something, we're doing 90 minutes. It's really nice for me to take a song or 2 off. So our bassist does a national cover. Everybody gets to choose their
So
own
good
cover.
at
So
it.
it's like choose your own adventure. He sings The System Only Dreams and Total Darkness. Our guitarist sings a song called Judy French by White Reaper, who's a favorite band of ours. And Rebecca does Hot and Heavy by Lucy Dacus, who's one of the boy geniuses.
The boy
Any of
genii.
that makes any sense?
Boy genii.
A boy genii.
Yeah.
How do you know when to throw it in?
Predetermined in the set list.
Really? Is it predetermined?
It's kind of nice, you start big. Well, at least we kind of start big and then you bring them down for a few and then
Big sound, big. You mean like big?
yes,
dynamics?
sonically, yeah. And then I think sometimes we'll use a cover to like get us out of the slower jams and then to close out the set.
Like the beginning of the third act. We're like,
Yeah.
we're on our way home. You're going to get a cover. You're going to get big hits.
Cassette deck.
Yeah, exactly.
A little the Cars.
Yeah.
Who's gonna drive you home?
That's a good way to do it.
How do you feel you are at crowd work? Can you work a crowd? Do you know how to get a crowd to move to jam?
Fizz can work a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one with the microphone, so
You can
gotta
brag
listen
about
to you.
yourself, but it's better if Rebecca. Rebecca, can you brag about how you can work a crowd?
Yeah. Oh, what to say, where to begin? Philip has this real just charisma about him.
Sweatiness.
Sweatiness. And by charisma I meant he's truly
Evangelical.
sweaty all of the time. Yeah.
He's filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I learned this about him even when we were friends in college. You know, oftentimes you'd go to a party and there's just like a little group around Philip, just like hanging on to his every word, or like what is he going to do next? And it's just like this little sparkle about him, and it is really fun to see that come across like on stage in the performance. It is where I think one of the places where Philip feels most comfortable. It's really fun he's a great guitarist, and he's really fun to also see him without a guitar because he's dancing all around. He's getting the people included. It's just fun to kind of, wind him up and watch him go.
That's nice.
Oh no! Okay, now
And he's
you
sweaty.
brag about Rebecca. This is like band therapy. I like
Rebecca is
Just couples.
a very sweet person and also has a real quick wit on stage and will just shut down a heckler. It's probably the comedy experience. But we played at Busch Gardens, the music
handgun
park this
involved?
weekend.
Yeah,
There's a handgun
exactly.
involved. And some drunk guy was
whatever
hollering at us, and I can't remember what you said. I was sitting here trying to remember the whole back and forth, but he said something, he was drunk, and you just whoosh, and he just shut up, and like eventually during the next song he just walked away, and I was like, yeah.
But in like a fun
But in a
way.
fun way. But like, yeah, because the crowd doesn't want a heckler to win. That's not why they're there either. So like, it was like, I don't know. It was just great because it's not like mean to the point where he's devastated, but it was like, you should be quiet now, and we're gonna move on with the show. And it was great.
Well, another great point about doing comedy too is that like the hardest rooms to be funny in is a comedy room. Like the easiest rooms to be funny in is playing music.
Yeah.
And
Very generous crowds.
Very generous crowds, and very, like you said, very, very easy to laugh. I do feel like I have a little bit of like maybe quirkiness on stage. But again, in a charming way.
Oh, it's great.
People like quirkiness. I think
like
it appeals to them, right? Because
I think so.
Yeah.
They personify. But why is a comedy room harder to get to laugh?
Well, like especially when it's at an open mic, it's half comedians in the room, if not entirely comedians in the room, and they're just standing there with their
Just
arms
judging,
crossed in the
yeah.
back.
Oh.
But no, sometimes the comedy rooms were hot, but sometimes it was just purely like,
we said, they're fairly miserable people.
yeah, pretty unhappy.
How do you feel about Tessa? How do you feel about quirkiness in a performance and performers?
I think that's beautiful. I mean, people are looking for a performance. They're looking to escape from, the audience is looking to escape from reality. So they want to feel something that they haven't felt. And that's what a musician can provide on stage. So I think the more interesting and different you are, and the more you can help them to, right? Mm-hmm. Escape from reality. That's what people love about music. They look for something that moves them to emotions and feelings. They want to feel something different.
Yeah.
Rather than the monotonous day in and day out or the job that they're going to. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you just get disconnected from reality.
Or those goddamn kids who won't shut the hell up. Just kidding. So you play your songs well. You know your songs well. You
Totally.
practice your musics.
Yes. You said it, not us.
What else do you do to create an atmosphere? Do you think much about things outside of the actual, instruments and melodies and things like that? Do you think of anything outside of that?
I mean, our drummer is he's the one who does recording studio and is very in the world of like live production and stuff. And he is, we have to like calm him down with he's constantly got new lights or a fog machine or like something. Like we've been playing like our third or fourth show ever, and like I don't even know how we did this, but we like finagled our way up to Brooklyn, and we were like playing at like a kind of a cool venue, and he brought like full on like a train of moving heads, like that the venue was like, what are you gonna do with those? And we're like, we're gonna rush them on between sets, like a 15-minute line check, and it's like, oh my God, man! Like you're bringing like $2,000 worth of lighting equipment onto the stage for us to play a song like very mediocre.
Well, what's nuts is like the stuff that you can get over in other countries that's not regulated the same way. So I interviewed this one guy for the show, and he was talking about, he was like, I got some pyros from China, and I was like, wait, you did what? And he's like, yeah, and he like showed me the canister, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like a bomb, man. I don't think you're allowed to have that. And he was like, oh, it's fine.
It'll be great.
I was like, it's gonna be so great.
They'll love it.
I never heard from him again after
One person may die.
Plus, there's a point about putting on a show and then going over the top where it's just totally unnecessary, more to lug around, to carry out and stuff like that.
We found a happy medium. We have these colorful lights that we put up. They're just sticks, and they'll strobe at a certain color. Yeah, and that's like not a lot of work. Looks nice in pictures.
So you do think about creating a mood?
Oh yeah, and we're big into like, hey, here's like where we could have a clapping break. Like bass isn't playing, I'm not playing. Let's make sure we get our hands up and we're gonna clap together and like
coordinate outfits. Do you think about what you're wearing?
We used to coordinate outfits, but now, well, I don't know. Is what we do now considered coordinated?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would call it a better coordination.
Really? Oh yeah.
It took Don and I 2 weeks to figure this out.
What'd you say?
It took Don and I 2 weeks to figure this out.
You nailed it. Yeah. So Benji and Taimir, our guitarist, bassists in the band, have a really great sense of style, and the onstage vibe is something that, say, I care about too, and so it is always something that is discussed before, any band photo shoot or show. And even if you're taking photos, like 10 minutes before you go on stage, for whatever reason, those photos are just going to live forever because you never think to book the next photo shoot, and then you're stuck with the same 5 photos for the next, however many years. So like those little moments seem silly, but are really important to lock in. And I think like we're not matchy, but we'll even go for like similar color palettes, or Benji will just bring his entire wardrobe for the rest of the band to wear, and it's been fun to kind of lean into different band members' personal styles.
You guys sound like you do more in that area than any other band I've heard, at least.
Oh,
I mean, it used to be run. So Colin is the drummer and I'm the singer, and we started the band a long time ago, and we used to really run every element of the band, and it was much to our detriment in that, I mean, we're just not the most equipped to be outfitting people, and we learned that over time. And so, like Rebecca said, if you just let people play to their strengths, like there are other people who are better at it than we are, and we don't really
and now we dress
say anything, and they just dress us, and it's great, and it ends up working out better. Like there was this knit sweater, and Colin like vaguely looks like Chris Evans, and like we were like, it's gonna look like Knives Out, put it on, and he was like, no, and then he loved it, and it's his favorite thing ever. And really the larger point is like just learning to let people play to their own strengths and kind of help you out is much better than micromanaging every facet of what's going on in a.
What if everybody, the rest of the band, came to a show in animal costumes, full animal costumes?
Oh, you should see. Okay, so
And okay, can we? And in
sounds like our Halloween show last year.
What animal costume would you wear if you had to pick an animal costume?
So I'll quickly. We at our album release show last year was a Halloween show at Songbird, and our guitar. We were like, it's a Halloween show. Wear whatever you want. But most of us were like pretty in line, and then our guitarist shows up in a full plague doctor outfit, full with the eyes wide shut mask. And we're like, well, sure, great, go for it.
And it's one of those costumes that like you see it and you're like, it's not fun.
He took it off.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
weird.
he took the mask off and ended up just looking like an executioner.
Back to
but-
the important
Yeah.
question. Animal costume. Rebecca, what would you go as? Philip, what would you go as?
You got a
I
top of the
I
head
think
answer?
like a ninja turtle, like a turtle, but
Oh, you're
not
going to
like
go
a
with
head.
an anthropomorphized. I didn't.
Yeah, is that okay?
Reptile.
Yeah.
Reptile, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, animal costume, Rebecca?
Wow, I'm really drawing a blank.
Deb, what would you go as if you had to pick an animal costume?
I guess a goat in a hole.
Nice callback.
I
That was a good
deserve that.
callback. That's a,
callback.
I would be an owl.
oh, that's a good one.
I don't know what it would look like, or just a lot of fur.
I-
Hey guys.
Yeah.
You know what
Most important
band you
question,
should cover?
Who would you ask for help?
Well, that's my spirit animal, so that's why I thought of that one.
Is an owl?
Yeah,
That's nice.
Wow.
like always looking around.
All right,
I
so
dig that.
owl, goat,
Turtle.
turtle.
Turtle. You, sir?
Oh, penguin. Absolutely, penguin on a heartbeat.
Nice.
I've never seen you in a tux.
Yeah. I used to dress formally all the time, constantly for everything.
Then it got to be a pain, right?
It got to be a pain, and I decided against it. And I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna wear. I don't ever want to wear a tie.
I'm never in the royal family.
I know. Hey, here's a question for you. This is gonna seem unrelated, but I swear to God, it's important.
Fire away.
Do you know the name of the memoir
Oh, they know.
that Prince Harry wrote?
They know.
Spare.
Yes! Thank you.
Do you know why I know? Not why.
I
know
would
that.
like to know why you know what it is, Philip.
Broke
We
Royal.
we have a Google alert for Broke Royals, and when he put that book out, our Google alerts were going off like crazy. Like Broke Royals have to write a book.
Would you say that it's a happy accident? Would you call the book a cultural touchstone?
I would not.
Yes.
Wait,
you.
would we?
Oh, well, neither of us have read it.
I haven't read
so-
it.
That's
So.
what I was
Well,
going to
obviously
ask.
they listen to the.
Have you read it? Have you read it, Deb?
I listened to the audio version because I wanted to hear
Okay.
Prince Harry
yes.
speak in his own words.
I heard that he froze his genitals.
So he narrated.
On purpose?
Oh, nice.
I think he was in the army or something.
What?
That's
He was on a
He
trip
froze
to the
his
Arctic.
genitals?
Why did he freeze
minute,
his
wait.
genitals?
Got
Boy.
frostbite.
On him?
Philip,
we
what
got
path
frost
are
on
you
him?
sending us down?
I'll let the reader explain, maybe.
The listener.
He got frostbite because it's very cold and he didn't have the proper equipment. He was hiking to the North Pole.
I tell you what, if I'm making a list of the shit that I take to
wow.
Antarctica, number one on that fucking list is underwear. Number one on that fucking list.
Number 2 is Prince Harry's book.
on audio and of course the text, so I can read along. And did he do the voice for it?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Oh,
just
what-
beautiful.
Read
Written
his
in
own
that
book.
What an
that
experience.
posh
it
British
would be.
accent.
It was glorious. Yeah.
Tessa, can you take us out of this area? What question
Yes,
do you have
yes.
for our
I'm
band?
dying. I'm dying to know. How do you get in the zone before you perform? And it's okay if you talk about the comedy or the keyboardist in you.
Do you have
Either
a
one.
quick one for
Or, like,
this?
do you have rituals, or do you have like a mind thing that you do?
Yeah. Oh. Well, I feel like Philip can often spot when I'm nervous before I can because I'll get very feisty. And that's how I'll realize, like, oh, I need to, like, go be alone for a few minutes because I'm getting nervous about whatever we're about to do. But I feel like, yeah, just taking kind of a simple, basic answer, but just taking a few minutes of quiet, a few deep breaths. The silly thing of visualizations of, like, imagine how you want it to go.
Okay.
Imagine it going well is always helpful to me.
Did you do that when you were a comedian too?
Oh, no.
No?
Maybe
Okay.
that's why that career came to a close.
Well, I would think
What?
you would want it to be a good crowd, right?
That's
And a
true.
good response.
Why did it come to a close?
You know, to really get good at stand-up, it's something that really needs to take precedent over every other element of your life.
But that's music too.
Yes, but music, you have the public and the private element of it. Stand-up, you only can really, really get good in front of other people. So it was like every single night at some
Yeah.
random bar around DC.
Oh, wow.
That's fucking brutal when you
Yeah,
think about
mirrors
it.
don't laugh.
Oh, yeah. But music in that way is much more forgiving. You practice on your own, practice with your band, you're working on songs to record, and you have the stage element. But I had always said, like, I just want to do comedy long enough to see if I can perform at the DC Improv, which happened to be the Judah Friedlander night.
Oh, I saw him at the Improv. Maybe I saw you open.
Oh,
up for
really?
him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You probably remember the person
I do
who
remember
opened.
someone being really shitty.
Yeah.
I'm totally kidding. But
the
Deb
joke
hit
is
on
on
this
you.
a little bit, and you hit on it
Yeah.
at the same time to make the ends connect. So if you can kill it as a comedian, right? You can nail all your rhythms, hit all your points, but if the people don't laugh, if it's a bad audience, it doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter.
Yeah.
While music, there is like some amount of satisfaction that you can get when you deliver a great performance and people aren't clicking with you. You still know it. You can still feel that. You're like, I still did that.
Yeah,
With
for
comedy, it's
sure.
like, if people didn't laugh, it doesn't matter.
It's like you're only ever 50% of the performance.
Yeah, it's only,
Which is kind of wild. But even, Philip and I, just playing random gigs around DC, like we can be having a really good time and we don't even really have to care if people are listening to us or not. It is nice when they are, but that's also the beauty of music, is that it can be the center of attention, or it can just plug in to the vibe of the atmosphere.
That's a good mindset to have, really.
Yeah.
You don't have to have everybody's eyes and ears,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah. How do you prep for gigs? Busy?
I think what you said is really the most valuable lesson I've learned about it is you have to give people a little grace in the hour or two before they go on stage. It's like can be a very tense and internally difficult time, and sometimes that comes out externally, but it's not about you. It's about to just be kind, and but what you said about we've started taking it to heart. If we take like a month off and we have a gig, we'll often do like an open mic before a paid gig, because it's like, don't get up. Stand-up comedy you really can only do in front of people, but there is some element of music that you have to kind of get your jitters out before you can really perform well. If you haven't performed in a long time, it's very valuable to like.
Some would say cattywampus.
You can go up there cattywampus. But no, we've started just taking any open mic slots or whatever that we can find just the week before, a couple days before a gig, because really just getting your stage legs back is
just to get
usually
one
valuable.
rep in before you hit it again.
So that's your get in the zone ritual before you perform. What about once you finish performing? Like, what do you like to do?
Hot tub?
We used to be young, and we
Straight to
would
the
like
sauna.
shut the venue down and like go to whatever the roof was of Rock and Roll Hotel or DC9. I'm like, can I please go home and have a beer on the couch? But
Make a beeline out of there.
yeah, every once in a while I have the energy. We have the energy. But
Normally it's also
you're
fun.
so tired.
Too.
It's like
Oh yeah.
you're like. Especially in the post-COVID world, you're like rushing off stage because there's a DJ coming on after you because the venues are trying to make as much money as they can in the night.
Oh.
So you're just tired and sweaty, and then like by the time you get everything in the car, you're just like, I think let's just go home.
Oh,
but
funny. I feel very like peak energy
Yes.
after a show.
yeah,
I think I am definitely the one who could just stay out all night.
I try.
Yeah, I think a show could definitely do. Any time you play, it could really do that to you, where you just feel great and you're energized right after you finish your set. We're finished. Thank you very much. And man, you're just flying high.
You don't want that feeling to go away.
Yeah.
No.
You want to keep riding it, double it down.
Double down.
Do you
What
feel
about? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you feel like you're in your most natural state when you're performing? Like, is that really?
I mean, I'm not like full Lady Gaga where she's like, I'm only me when I'm on stage, but like,
Does she say that? Is that what she says?
very much so. Yeah,
Aw,
she's like,
that's it.
That is sweet.
Very
Yeah.
existentialist.
yeah.
Yeah.
I said that the other day, Don, and you made fun of me. So the other day
You're
I
right.
told Don.
And I'll make fun of her.
The other
too.
day I told Don, I was like, I feel like I'm the most me when I'm on the show. And he goes, I feel like I'm the most me all the time. I was like, great. Now I
Got
have to
him.
go to therapy. So are you the most comfortable on the stage? Or are you most comfortable? Like, do you feel like more you, less you? What are you, a different character? Are you crazy?
I am wild. No, I'm definitely not the most real version of me, but I feel very focused and kind of like eyes on whatever part of my personality I'm choosing to show in this moment. So it does feel a little bit like a performance, but a very fun one that gives me a lot of energy.
It sounds like you that you enjoy some manner of feeling like you were in control of the moment.
Yes.
Nice.
That's a good way to put
Fun,
it.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
fun, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you get to. It's like I am this character, and this is this part of you that you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say I feel most me. There's sometimes where like we'll be with a group of friends and maybe I'll do one of those tags, like a little joke, and people will laugh, and then Philip will like lock eyes with me and like wink at me and be like, "Yo, bud, good job. You did it." And I was like, I think that's probably when I feel most like you saw this.
No, I know what you mean. It's a feeling of accomplishment that you've done it.
Recognized for comedic brilliance.
Can I ask how you came up with the name Broke Royals? I think it's just such a great name.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I say it like that because we were literally just discussing other band names that were on that list. I gave it was so Rebecca, Colin, and I went to William and Mary together, and Colin and I were on the music production team, so we would like help bring bands to campus and stuff like that. And Colin was really the only other person. William and Mary is a kind of a nerdy school, and everyone was so focused on their academics, but those weren't going very well for me. So I was like, well, I just want to be in a rock and roll band. And so I was really looking for someone who was looking to play music, and I was just finding a lot of people that were like, oh, my studies are more important, and I was like, you fool. But then Colin and I met, and he really cared as much as I did about music, and he was like, well, I built a recording studio in my parents' basement, and they were professors at William and Mary, and so they lived nearby, and we were recording things, and it was kind of going well, and not only that, but there was sort of a yin and yang thing, and I had a lot of ideas, and he had a lot of know-how, and we were kind of meshing well, and he was like, this wasn't my intention, but would you want to start a band? Like, from these songs, I think I'd want to be a part of it, and so then... we're kind of indicative of our relationship. I would come up with a bunch of ideas for things, and there was one I really wanted to be Lizard was the name that I was going for, or Millhouse, like from The Simpsons. But we went to William and Mary. It's named after the King and Queen of England. We were broke. We were graduating broke royals. That was the winning.
I totally forgot that we had asked what was the name of the band. That's why we were on that story.
Yeah, sorry.
So when you made the connection, I was like,
So what?
Yeah, I was like, okay. We have time for one more question, Don, and then we have our standard questions we have to ask. Don, last question.
Last question is, what do you think of Howdy Doody, the steer that drove in the passenger seat of the car?
The steer that drove in the passenger seat of the car in the TV show?
No, it was in the news recently, right?
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious. That was awesome. Yeah, that was great.
Two standard questions we always ask. One, have you
I saw that. That was great.
Have you ever had an out-of-body experience? And if you have, please describe it.
Yes, I'd say it definitely has happened on stage of your body is physically playing the songs, but then I think it was our last album release show of just having this packed room of family and friends who have driven, flown to be there. And it was a real whoa, this is very cool as it was happening moment.
Philip?
Was it a good show?
Pretty good show. Pretty good.
Pretty good. No,
I feel like we've talked a lot about bad performances.
No, it was great. It was a great show. Yeah,
some
I
of
would
them
say
are good.
Well, what?
better than pretty good.
What?
Great.
I
go ahead.
have another question.
Go ahead.
What do you not like? What irritates you?
Like on stage or just generally?
In general.
Everything.
Fair.
Sound like me.
It's fair. Oh, Tessa told me the other day we were. I'm gonna throw you under the bus. She's like, "Have I ever told you that I would like to have a mute boyfriend?"
Why would you say that on air? That was personal.
Oh, I thought it was so funny, and I was like, "Really mute?" And she's like, "Well, I'm half kidding."
You can talk sometimes.
And then they could tell her, what does that mean? And let me tell you why I feel about that.
I know, right? I know. Out of body experience, Philip.
Yeah, but not. I can't. Sometimes I'll have like really strong deja vu, and that feels like an out of body experience. That's, I guess, probably the most that I feel that way.
It's either that or a stroke.
Stroke.
Either way. Yeah. The second question: when was the last time that you cried?
Oh boy.
Sharing.
I don't remember, but I'm not trying to be macho or anything. I don't remember. That's lame.
Well, I will get personal for a moment. I am pregnant, and I was, thank you, just a fourth of my company was laid off last week, including myself. Okay. So, I'm going for once a day, if not more at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I'm sorry you're going through that.
It's okay. Probably.
Yeah. That's some heavy
good.
shit. Do it.
Yeah,
Let's end there. Why not? Like that's a great up note. Right?
That's definitely not right. That is discrimination.
I mean, it was
I'm
a
sorry.
beautiful song. That was the last time I cried.
Are they allowed to fire you if you're pregnant?
I was going to tell them this week. How wild is that?
Hey, if you want, we can erase this off the tape. You can tell if you want. We'll corroborate that you told someone 2 weeks ago.
You can send the email last week.
Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. Yeah, we got.
Yeah.
We'll backdate it.
Hey, so we have to end the show. I have to do the end. This has been StageCraft. We've been talking to the Broke Royals. Do you want to tell anyone about shows that you have coming up or how they find your music online?